doing and 40% doing. So what actually makes those, stops the agile transformation is when they're doing the agile, but unfortunately they're not being agile. So that's where the challenge is. So if you look at the report, it just shows you what exactly is happening, both on the team level and also in the organizational level. So we're talking about behaviors here. So culture, behavior, philosophy, company philosophy, values. And so then we'll move to the very subject why we're here today, to talk about psychological safety. Okay. And we're saying psychological safety is a belief that one will not be punished or humiliated for speaking up with ideas, questions, concerns, or mistakes. Okay. At the beginning, I said something. I said, there's a food for thought for everyone. Well, how do you feel when you get into a new organization and you're trying to, contribute to some subject matter and you overhear your colleagues in your team saying nasty things about you? Would you go on? Are you going to be free to speak in that organization? Now, what psychological safety is all about, it's the ability for you to give and receive feedback, okay? Ability to ask questions, ability to raise issues and concerns when you have one, ability to be able to ask for help and disagree when you need to disagree, when you, disagree in a very polite manner, not, talking down on somebody else. Ability to able to admit errors. I know that there's one thing in organizations where people want to be seen as the best, they want to be seen as, people who can't make mistakes. So that's where the problem is. When people don't admit their mistakes, there's always a blame game going on amongst things. And that's a problem because in an agile organization, the teams are meant to hold their back, each other's back. Okay, so that's why for those of us who are in agile organizations, when you form your team, there's something called team working agreement. So that's what you do to ensure that we all collaborate, come up with an agreement, and we'll work by that agreement. Okay, so if there's a fine, if somebody fails, in the agreement, you'll be fined. We'll work together. If someone is down, and all that. So you have that working agreement. So of course, in that kind of organization, you should be able to ask your colleagues, so, hey, I have a problem. What do you think? In work, even when it's out of work, both domestic questions from your home, questions from the office, because, hey, guess what? We spend most of our times in the office. We spend most of our time, for us who work remotely, we still spend most of our times doing work and collaborating with our colleagues, both virtually and on site. Okay, so psychological safety is, you offer solutions to problems. You admit your errors when you have them. No blame games. Okay, so that's what psychological safety is all about. So I'm going to narrow it to a team level now. So it's very important that those things happen on the team level. So read it. So that means the Scrum Master, whoever, whether either the Scrum Master or the Agile Manager, however your framework or the organizational design is in your place of work, however it is, he must ensure that there's psychological safety existing in his team, okay, or unit, however, it's been designed, okay? And psychological safety is very important because, in such cases where you can ask questions, where you can receive feedback, those are informations. And through those information, you build data. And from building data, you can gather, all the data to create things, innovative things to help, of course, ensure that there's high productivity and performance, okay? Now, psychological safety have been known to be a key component for diversity, inclusion, and safety. We all know I want to believe that all of us have heard about diversity and inclusion. Diversity is a must, that's the truth. We have a diverse environment. So you have diversity in terms of ethnicity, age, different, backgrounds and all that. And so we can't hide from it. It's something that it's there, okay? But inclusion is a choice, okay? So we get into a team. It's a choice for us to decide to say, hey, everybody is included in this team. So there's no barrier to speaking. There's no, what you call those silos that you have, there's no high flyer here. We're all together, to do work and to achieve a particular result. So that would take me next to our next to a particular professor who talked about the different stages of psychological safety, Dr. Clark. And he said that there are 4 kinds of psychological safety. And the first stage is inclusion safety. I mentioned before that inclusion is a choice, okay? Diversity is something that you always have, okay? In a team, you have people from different backgrounds, different ethnic groups, you know, male, female, you know, from different places. You can have, you know, from Asia, from, you know, from America, from Africa, all in the team. So, but it's left for the team to ensure that, you know, everybody is included in that team. So inclusion safety is, you know, it's when human beings, you know, need to connect and belong to that particular team. So as in an agile team, I need to belong and I need to connect, okay? So hearing at my first time of work that, of course, that already disconnects me when I hear a team member who is meant to, you know, connect with me, saying something opposite about me. Of course, in such situations, it might take me so it might be difficult for me to connect, you know, to that team. The second one is learner safety, and it says, you know, basic needs, satisfy the basic needs to learn and grow. So in a team where it's quite difficult for you to share your opinion, why? Because you have someone who feels, you know, he's the only one who likes to, is a go-getter. Okay, so he talks about his own, he talks about, you know, what he thinks, his opinion and all that. And of course, that makes it difficult for some people to grow, to learn, especially when the Scrum Master is particular about a certain person. And then, you know, it makes me difficult to learn because I'm not contributing. And then even when I contribute, you know, you feel it, I'm not adding any value. So that's also a challenge for people to learn. The same thing also with schools, in secondary schools. I know that, you know, schools of nowadays are changing, where you have Montessori schools where, you know, children are given the freedom to learn and to do things that they want to do, unlike in our days where, you know, all we do is cram and is what the teacher gives to us that we learn. So it's quite different. And, you know, in most schools, you have learner safety in it. Okay, and the third one is contributor safety, where you have the ability to share your idea, to contribute, to make a difference in the team. Okay, so everybody is speaking. Of course, as an agile, as a team, as a Scrum team member, you should be able to speak. Self leadership, we all know, self-organizing. So you must always contribute to whatever it is the team is whatever subject matter it is. Okay, the ability for you to be safe, to speak, and to add value to that team. So that's the third one. And the last one is challenger safety. I know that's where a lot of people have issues, especially because the leaders of the Scrum Master or the Agile manager feels that his opinion is most superior. Okay, so this is the ability for you to satisfy the basic need to make things better. So I want to challenge whatever the status quo is, not rudely, but I mean, just to say with, of course, with facts, to say, unfortunately, this thing, it might be quite difficult for you to work in this environment or in this team. The reason is because A, B, C, D, you know, I have proof, you know, of the things that are happening in other agile environments. So I think we shouldn't go, you know, in that direction. So ability to be able to challenge whatever the status quo is. And I know one of the issues people are having in most organizations where you have leaders controlling, you know, their employees, not giving them the ability to take decisions or make decisions, even in their own team, in most agile organizations, where you have leaders from other units, you know, leaders from the management team coming to add or contribute to the agile team, not giving them the ability to make decisions or to be autonomous in whatever they're doing. So that's one of the challenges that we have. So when these things are not existing in an organization or in a team, then there's a problem. So of course, whatever you're thinking is a transformation, it'll be very difficult to get there. And mind you, transformation doesn't take, it's not an instant thing. It's something that will go, you know, could take 2 years, 3 years, 4 years, 5 years. 6 years, 10 years, depending, on the organization, depending on the culture, depending on the management or the leadership buy-in, depending on the leadership willing to change from their old ways, and of course, leading with agility. Okay, so with that, those organizations can actually transform. So one of the issues you see here, okay, an example is just, I got a cartoon from, a lady who, of course, is experiencing, lack of psychological safety in her team. And she's wondering, what should I do? What should I think? How should I contribute? She's not free to, she's actually thinking of what to do in her team. I mean, this is a team where, of course, where she spends most of her hours all day, and it's so difficult for her to, contribute. And she's thinking of how to say, whatever it is she needs to say. So that's one of the issues we have in a psychological safety, where an environment where you lack psychological safety, difficulty in contributing. Okay, different things can cause it. I know that I was sharing with someone one day, and I was saying to the person, especially in our environment here in Nigeria, where people say, oh, he has the H factor, or he has an Igbo accent, or he has a Yoruba accent, or Hausa accent, and because of that, anytime he or she's trying to contribute, and everybody's face goes, there's a change of mood or face and all that. But when you have someone from another continent, for example, and he's talking, everybody's listening. So I'm wondering, so hey, so if you can listen to somebody else, I'm wondering why it's so difficult for you to listen to somebody, someone who's in the same ethnic group or with you. So like I mentioned earlier, inclusion is a choice. The team decides to include whoever it is, be it accent, be it race, be it ethnicity, be it age, because in this generation, we have, in the work environment, we have different generations. You have the baby boomers also with the generation, the millennials, and you can just imagine, especially in our environment where respect is a challenge. So it's not now respect for one another, it's respect because I'm older than you, respect because I can imagine when I finished university, you were still in secondary school. Okay, so that is also a challenge. And of course, that brings about lack of psychological safety, because the millennial might be finding it very difficult to contribute, to whatever subject matter it is. He might even find it difficult to ask questions or even want to learn from those baby boomers in quotes. Okay, and we're saying that low or absence of psychological safety disrupts team performance, innovation, learning, personal success, self-worth, and of course, it increases mediocrity. So that's a problem. And that is what we call psychological danger, where you're not able to contribute, where you can't learn. So you say in your team, you have experts, but unfortunately, those experts have some sort of ego, okay, that they are, they've been there, done that, And so that's a problem. You can't even ask questions. And so that's a problem. And of course, a problem for the team, because there'll be difficulty in collaboration. You can't sync. So those are the issues that you have in psychological safety. In an environment where there's no psychological safety. And so we call it psychological danger. So now, what are the benefits? Why do we need to observe or ensure that we have psychological safety in our environment? Why is it so important in every organization, especially the Agile organization, for organizations who have actually adopted Agile? Why is it so important? And so we're saying that for you to have psychological safety, for psychological safety to be present in your organization, there's no two ways about it. There's going to be innovation. You have better learning and be able to adapt to whatever catalyst it is, be it the pandemic, be it whatever COVID-19, be it, whatever it is, socioeconomical, whatever it is, political. You'll be able to adapt in that organization, in that team, okay? You'll be able to learn fast and of course, innovate and be creative in that team and organization. The second benefit is, of course, you'll be more efficient in problem solving. So we are coming together to talk about a particular thing. Everybody's sharing their ideas, what you think, and then come together and come to an agreement, solve a problem together. like they say, two heads are better than one. You know, of course, you come up with a conclusion where everybody's sharing ideas to solve a particular problem. Of course, high creativity level. So everybody's bringing innovation. I'm hearing from you. You know, you're saying something. I'm picking from what you're saying, and of course, I'm trying to analyze, and I say back, and you know, somebody's trying to. Of course, with that, you get a high rise of creativity in that organization, in that team, of course, which of course will lead to innovation, of course, will lead to high productivity, high performance in the team. And of course, more staff engagement. Job staff, I'm happy with my job because why? I can share my thoughts. I can share my thoughts. You know, I'm learning new things. You know, I'm learning from my colleagues. When I have some concern, there's someone to listen to me. People are ready to share. And you know, in an agile team, the most interesting thing is it's not just about, you know, the work environment, also about your personal life. And you have something, I said, guys, can I share something with you? Or you could even speak to your Scrum Master or your Agile manager, if the Agile manager, of course, understands how to lead with agility. You know, so of course there'll be employee engagement, and as well as job satisfaction. Of course, stronger employee morale. You know, you'll be happy. I won't lose my self-worth. There won't be low self-esteem because I know that I can say whatever I need to say, however I need to say it. I always say there's no dumb question. And if you feel my question is dumb, too bad. Okay? So those are the benefits of psychological safety in any organization, in a team. So it's really very important that we ensure that there's psychological safety in a team. I mentioned before that we're going to have an interactive session. I don't want to keep talking and talking and talking. I'm sure we understand, you know, from what I've said, you know, about what psychological safety is. So we're going to have some sort of exercise. We're supposed to have a breakout room, but unfortunately, I'm not sure that we're having some sort of challenge of having the breakout room. So what we'll do is I will send the link, okay, it's a Jamboard actually, Google Jamboard. And so what we have is, so it's a psychological safety, we're going to play a game actually. So it's a psychological safety game. We have psychological safety cards. So this particular tool was done by a guy named Ben Linder. He's an author and a trainer, also in Agile, and a coach, okay? So he had some cards filled with a lot of psychological safety questions and statements, about 62. So we're going to have just 12. I'll send the link right away. So we'll have just 12 questions. So you go to the Jamboard, I'll send the link. What we'll do, you pick a card. And then of course, the challenge right now is that because there's no breakout room, we can't have conversations amongst ourselves. So what we'll do is we'll just take a Post-it and just write the challenges that we have in our team, in our organization. And then of course, write what you like or you don't like. And as well as write what you like, you know, what you like to change. We have about, we're supposed to have about 10
Eliana,
to 15
are they gonna write the comments? Are they going to provide
yes,
answers
so
to questions
yes, on the Jamboard. Yes,
right?
on the Jamboard. So I'm going to send the link right now.
Okay, great.
Yes, so on the Jamboard, sorry, give me a second. So on the Jamboard, you have, you know, some icons to your right. Maybe I'll just also show the Jamboard so that we understand what we're supposed to do. Okay, I'll stop sharing for a moment. Bear with me. Okay. So This is what the Jamboard looks like. Sorry. Yes. Okay. Okay. So that's the link to the Jamboard. This is what the Jamboard looks like. I'll share my screen. Okay. Can you all see my screen?
Yes, I can see it.
Okay. So I believe everybody can see it. Okay, so these are psychological safety cards. Okay, you have we have about 12 of them here. I mean, Belinda has about 62 psychological safety cards. So what we're going to do here is just look at the card, pick a card, okay, and then write. You have a post-it, a sticky note here. Okay, so go on a sticky notes, and of course write what you don't like, or the things you see in your team, in your organization, or your team that you don't like. Okay, and then maybe in the blue, pink. So I prefer we all write what we don't like in the yellow sticky notes. Okay, and then what we like to see change on the green sticky notes. Okay, I would appreciate it if you just say yes if you do understand what I'm saying.
Okay, Elena, I want to type out the questions that they're going to answer
Okay.
in the chat so they can see. I did 2 questions or 3 questions.
Okay, I'm going to go ahead and share. So that's the question.
Okay.
So you will not
like.
I mean, so that the second question, it's we would avoid that now because there's no breakout room for them to have a chat. So because I wanted everyone to talk about the organizations within 10-15 minutes. Unfortunately, that can't happen now. So we just go next to the next one to say, tell us the challenges you're having in your organization. Write them down, what you like and what you don't like, and then what you want to see change. Okay.
Okay.
So can we type yes if we understand? I'm wondering because it seems like I'm the only one here. I need everyone to participate. Good. Thank you, Amos. Okay. Thank you, Ahmed. Okay, so do we all have the Jamboard?
They're asking the question, are they to answer 2 or 3 questions? I think there are 3. The challenges one is.
Yeah, so the challenges in your organization, or rather you just write, I think you should just answer the last 2 questions because it's no longer interactive. I mean, you're no longer in a breakout room. So just write what you don't like in your team and in your team, what you like and what you don't like, okay, and what you like to see change. So the last 2 questions is what we're asking. I'm asking that we share our experience or our thoughts. Okay. Good. Thank you, Tosin. Okay. So do we all have the link? Have we all gone to the Jamboard? And I will also share my screen. Okay. I can see that some of us are participating and some of us are not. So what we'll do is, oh, sorry about that, Kingsley.
So how many more minutes are we?
Yeah, so we have 2 more minutes.
Okay.
Unfortunately, since All right, I think I still want us to have, thank you very much for as many of us that participated, in the psychological safety card exercise. I know something that Scrum Masters, Agile managers, supervisors, is something that will help build psychological safety in the organization. So it's, I think it's a must-have. You should have it in your team to ensure that you're building psychological safety in your environment, in your team. I know it's something that has helped a lot of Agile teams over time. Okay, so it's, I'll also share the link to as many of us that would like to take it back to our teams and build psychological safety in our organization. So I'll just send the link for the cards, just in case. Yep. All right, so thank you, everyone. Thank you very much. I would share my screen so that we can all look at those, the comments of people who participated. Okay. Sorry, bear with me. Okay, so while I'm trying to get the Jamboard so that I could read the comments that people have made, I would like, one or two persons to just talk about, their team, I mean, the organization, if they're experiencing a bit of psychological safety, and what they think they would do in order for them, to build psychological safety in their teams and environment. I'm sure we have some Scrum Masters on this Zoom meeting. So the Scrum Masters can, share with us what they will do. And if, at what level is psychological safety existing in the organization, if they can share with us. Do we have a volunteer? Can you all hear me, please?
Yes, you're
We
loud
can
and
hear
clear.
you. We can hear you
Okay,
clearly.
thank you. All right. So can anyone share, please? Since we don't have a breakout room, so can anyone share what level of psychological safety do they have in the organization? For those who have seen all the cards and seen all the comments about psychological safety, can you say, is existing in your organization? Can anyone share? Do I get a volunteer?
Would you like someone to volunteer so that we can get real feedback from the way it works in our
Yes,
yeah,
exactly.
Yeah.
Okay, so it seemed like
people are shy to do.
I think so. I think so.
Anyone willing to bail us out?
I'll have a go.
Okay,
Thank you.
So I'll use the last team I worked with. So I had two teams, and I would say one were mature, really mature in Scrum, and the other one were more developers. They kind of worked in the company, so they knew their stuff. So in terms of psychological safety, the people kind of picked up work for each other, which was good. They, do you want me to use the cards? Okay, let me just see if
yeah, so good. Let's use the cards. Yes, thank you.
Okay, all right, hold on. Where did I see the cards? So you have been signed into, okay, let me see. I can't, it's actually logged me out of the cards in terms of my seeing the cards anymore.
Do you want me to send the, do you want me to send
to share your screen? Okay.
Do you want me to send the link again?
No, you could, I did answer.
Screen, yes?
Yeah, if you share your screen, because I did answer some of them.
Oh, good. So I'll share my screen then.
Yeah.
All right. Okay. Okay.
I did 1 to 3. I didn't go past.
For some reason, 1 and 3
is not showing on your side.
It's not showing, yes.
Yeah, it said it signed me out of Google on my one. So let me see.
I'm wondering why that is.
Do you want to refresh your screen or something?
Yes, I actually did try that.
Okay.
It's still the same.
All right, let me see. Because my one logged me out, so I don't know why. Let me go back on this. Yeah, I can't see the first page as well on mine. Do you know what they are? If you can tell me what the first 3 are.
Okay, so just let me just stop sharing. Okay.
I know one of them was failure, and I think that's number 3 was.
Just give me 2 seconds. Let me go back.
I was trying to open it on this side as well, but I can't see that first slide.
I'm kind of shocked. So it's we engage fully with one another and don't shy away from respective conflicts.
Okay, so especially in retrospectives, but not even in just retrospectives, even in the daily scrum, people kind of carried each other along. They kind of were teaching other people code, and where you had new developers. So that was really prominent in the teams. And I think that was really good in terms of psychological safety, in terms of people were not working against, there were not many anti-patterns or people working against each other. People were actually helping themselves out and kind of saying, you can book a time with me and we could go over that. In terms of failures, they did accept failures, especially in retrospectives, and we looked at ways to address them and things like that. So that was quite helpful among the team.
Okay, good. And the second one is, okay, so the second one you were talking about, we feel safe to talk about any mistakes or failures that happens.
Yeah.
It was the second one you're talking about. So great. Great. Thank you so much, Tosin. So that's a mature team anyways. To talk about but that's good.
Thanks.
So does anybody want to share? Thank you, Tosin, for sharing, because the story is something that a lot of us here whose organization just adopted Agile. Those are the things you want to hear, the success stories of, having your team members being able to share, to help, not shying away from things, being able to accept your mistake and learn from it. And then, of course, the team learn from the mistakes. We're able to shield ourselves. That's a reality. Sometimes you just hear it or read about it, but, real life, true life story, success story that, yes, this team has actually matured, in Agile. So thanks once again, Tosin. So anybody else? Is there anybody else that would like to share? It doesn't have to be a mature team. You could just talk about, what exactly is happening in your own team. Okay. And of course, I'm looking at what we've talked about to be able to build psychological safety can also help, you to take it back to your team the next time you meet, to ensure that you're having, gradual steps or baby steps to psychological safety in your team. Okay. So can anybody else share? Unfortunately, I kind of like lost the, I'm not sure why. So all the things that people who participated, fantastic. Oh, so sad. I can't, it's no longer there. I'm not sure why Jamboard has taken it out. I'm not sure what's happened. My apologies. So I'll just share it so that we can also look at it all over again. Okay. So like Tosi mentioned, we engage fully with one another and don't shy away from respective conflicts. So we talked about that. We said it's important. We can disagree. Okay, so disagreement is something that it is psychological safety. So don't think that it's not part of it is psychological safety. It's healthy to disagree, especially when you feel that there are better, of course, with facts, the better ways of doing things that will help, of course, the team mature. And then, of course, we feel safe to talk about our mistakes, failures that happen. So we learn from everybody's mistake. Okay. When you keep your mistake to yourself, you're not learning, and the team as well is not learning. So it's very important. So that, of course, we know that when we learn from our mistakes, there's continuous improvement, gives rise to a lot of things, creativity, performance, creativity, innovation, I beg your pardon. And then, of course, people support one another when something goes wrong. So it's not just, to be honest with you, a lot of mature teams, when things go wrong, not just in the environment, not just in the organization, even in their personal lives, they support one another. Yeah. So I'll just have the second slide and then I'll round up. I think my 45 minutes will be up. Abikara, am I still on track?
Yes, you should be rounding up.
Okay, so I'll just talk about, so the next slide, cards, I'll just talk about 3 cards. Failures are embraced as learning opportunities, like I mentioned before. So the Scrum Master takes this card, and then the Scrum Master can as well use this card to rate the issues or the challenges in his team. Are failures really embraced as learning opportunity? Do we regularly, ask one another for help or support, or rather keep to ourselves? Are we open to discuss our mistakes and learn and avoid repetition of the risk? Avoid the risk of repeating them. Do we do all that? Of course, so all this helps the team in building psychological safety, and as well as our environment, our organization. Okay, so thank you very much for participating. So I'll just conclude on what exactly. So Business Agility Institutes talked about, said is it's for you to have business agility in your organization, for there to be agility in the organization. It requires that individuals are open to learning by doing. Okay, so making mistakes, I'm doing, I'm making mistakes, I'm learning from the mistakes, I'm continuously improving and learning. And of course, for myself, okay, personal development for myself, and as well as a team, and as well as the organization. And of course, being able to make decisions when, in an organization where, in an environment rather, where there's uncertainty and ambiguity, you're not afraid to try something. You're not afraid to take that bold step. Okay, the environment is free from fear of failure. Very important. And then, of course, strategies to create psychological safety. So we're not just only going to talk about what psychological safety is, the benefits, lack of it. We'll also talk about, I beg your pardon. We'll talk about strategies to help create, okay, to help create psychology at the workplace of work. So promote self-awareness, demonstrates concern for team members as people. Those are one of the things that the cards would also address and help. Actively solicit questions, provide multiple ways for employees to share thoughts. So we have, like Tosi mentioned, retrospective is also a fantastic way to help build psychological safety, in the team. Show value and appreciation for ideas. Thank you. Encourage people to talk more, to share idea, no matter what kind of idea it is. If you feel is dumb, no idea is dumb. I always say that. You always get one or two things from such ideas. Okay, so promote positive dialogue and discussions in the team. Be precise with information, expectation, and commitment. Explain the reason for change. So that's one of the challenges we have in this world of place of, in this environment where we are here in Nigeria, where you see leaders just change without telling the people, so what's going on? So an example is, for example, in an organization where, okay, so we know there are issues, in the economy because of the pandemic, and at the end of the year, you scrap the bonus that you've been giving from inception. Maybe the company is at 25 years, and all of a sudden you scrap bonus. No communication, no information, nothing whatsoever. Okay, so that's a no-no, because unfortunately there's some things that you have not said, but they have interpreted, which of course is risky. Assumption is a killer. When the employees begin to assume things, it's a challenge for the organization. And they're asking, so, okay, fine. So since you're not telling us the reason for change, and so why do you have to ask me the reason I'm leaving when I'm exiting your organization? So leaders need to be mindful of things like that. Always explain the reason for change, why you're doing this, and why, be transparent. And of course, own up to mistakes. Okay, so when you own up to mistakes, you learn, like what we talked about. So call to action. It's important that we all build a psychological safe culture with care, respect, and trust. And of course, according to Toni Morrison, just remember that your real job as a person is that if you are free, you need to free somebody else. So if you're bold enough, if you've gone through the 4 stages of psychological safety that I mentioned earlier, inclusion, challenges, learning, you've gone through that 4, you're safe, then you should free somebody else as well. Encourage that person to break out of that, psychological danger. Of course, it wouldn't actually help the person. So if you have some power, then it's your job to empower somebody else. Okay, so that's a call to action for every one of us here. Thank you very much for participating.
Thank you, Eliana. Thank you so much. It was a very insightful session for me. I picked up on so many things. I'll just mention a few. The first one was when you said that inclusion is a choice, and that hit me, that we have to deliberately and intentionally make the environment inclusive for people in our teams. Even this also goes to the home front as well, because if you decide that, you're going to shout your children down. Although the generation of children we have nowadays they don't accept that. But if that
Exactly.
was even possible, right? You know,
Exactly.
you have to allow inclusion in every regard in our teams, our homes, and whatever groups we find ourselves in. So inclusion is a choice, and people actually love to be heard. They like to feel that their thoughts are valid. They like people to listen to them. So
Exactly.
it's also important to foster this inclusion and psychological safety wherever we find ourselves. So thank you so much, everyone, for taking your time to listen. I don't know if we have any more questions for Eliana. There was a question from Tosin where he asked, how the Scrum Master can practically increase psychological safety in an organization. But you mentioned the retrospective, so he said he had answered the question. I don't know if there are other ways that you want to add to that, or.
So, as a Scrum Master, yes, you're also a coach. Scrum Masters should never forget that. You're also a coach. So if you see that, there's a bit of danger in your team, let's say, for example, there's a team member who is really not, he's actually working by himself, the silos, he's not collaborating. It's a job as a Scrum Master to coach the person to really find out, asking, because questions are really very powerful. You just find out things and the person begins to speak the questions that you ask, and then you can begin to build, because you'll be shocked that the person has a fundamental problem. So don't just sit down there as a Scrum Master and just keep facilitating and don't pay attention to the little details in your team. Okay? Every Scrum Master needs to be very observant about his or her team members. I know there's several cases where you see people, in the team having domestic issues, and of course it's affecting the team. So it's a Scrum Master duty to ensure that, hey, so what's going on? To ask, take the person aside, ask questions and find out what exactly, and you'd be shocked that the person can actually solve his or her problem. All he or she needed was just someone to have a conversation with. Okay? So not just a retrospective, it could be an individual that has issues. And of course, you could use coaching to find out, to help solve that problem. You need to find a way to crack up people. If you have been empowered, you need to crack up someone else to ensure that the person is safe in his environment. I'll share one story, a personal story of mine. I remember when I first joined HR, my first year, second year in HR. And to be honest with you, mine was actually very particular, sad, because every time I have an idea, I rather speak to my colleague of mine to say the idea in the meeting. Can you imagine? That's how bad mine was. I really couldn't say anything, And I realized at a point, I said to myself, hey, Eliana, if you really wanted to become a HR leader, you can't do that. You can't keep bottling your ideas to yourself. You need to speak up, okay? You need to ensure that you have challenger safety. You must be able to challenge the status quo to say, hey, I think this is what I found, and this is what I think it is. But if you don't like it, fine. You should be able to challenge the status quo as a leader. And so I had to learn, had myself exposed, had to go back to school. And then, of course, that has helped me thus far. And so I always say to people, you need to help yourself, try and develop yourself. And for those who have done that, try and empower someone else. And that's why that's one thing I like about Agile and teams. It helps empower people. There's this strength in teams. Yes.
Absolutely. Thanks for sharing that. That's really, really profound. And, imagine if you had a coach, an Agile coach, or a Scrum Master, or someone around you at that point.
Exactly. It won't take me that, because it took me quite a while, like 2, 3, 4 years. Yes. Yeah. If I had a coach, it won't be like that. Yes. So that's the advantage of having a coach. Yeah.
That's good. Do you have any other questions for Eliana? I can see Kingsley's comment. Thanks for sharing. Learned a lot. Julius also says thanks for sharing as well.
You're welcome.
All right. Okay. If we don't have any other questions, I will just wrap up the session briefly. Just give us a few information. let me share my screen briefly so I can just share some. Okay. Just to share some brief important information with us before we meet today. Okay. All right, and just to remind us about the Agile Practitioners Association of Nigeria, which is our platform host. It's an opportunity, being in the community of Agile practitioners is an opportunity for you to grow your knowledge and grow yourself as an experience as a thought leader within the Agile space. We have different variants of membership. You could register as an individual member, a professional member, executive, as an executive member, professional member, or a student member. Those are the categories under individual membership. Then we also have the corporate membership model where you could get your organization to register. Some of you as the corporate organization is registered, so all of you as an organization can partake, of that corporate umbrella registration membership as well. And the benefits of doing that. I'll be dropping the link to the Agile Practitioners Association, but it's actually on the screen as well. So you can go there and just find out much more about, the association, what you stand to gain, the accesses you have as a member. It's agilepractitionersng.com. Aside from that, we also have the Agile Advisor Africa communities of practice. So these are communities on Facebook, LinkedIn, and Slack, where you get to also join a community of people who are intentionally support each other in a different path. So you could be a product owner, aspiring product owner, aspiring Scrum Master, or an Agile coach. There's a place for you there, and they share ideas. You can ask questions within a safe space, and just get to learn a bit more about this whole area, and it will enhance your journey as you grow your knowledge as a Agile practitioner. So we have some events coming up in the month of October, this month rather, in the next 1 or 2 weeks. The first one is virtual Agile Scrum workshop, which will be facilitated by the Agile Advisor Africa. It's coming up on the 27th to the 28th of October, 9 a.m. to 5 p.m. daily. It's an in-person, it's a virtual workshop. And the registration details, you can just go to the agileadvisor.com/Agile Scrum Workshop and register for that event. It's an opportunity for you to build your knowledge. If you're new to Agile, you don't know much about it, this is a perfect opportunity for you to start your journey and learn a whole lot more about Agile. Then we also have a very special session about what we call the Bullseye Framework. So the Agile Advisor, who is our community organizer, also as a consultant, they work with a number of organizations and help them in their Agile transformation journey. So they're going to be sharing with us the unique framework that they used to help these organizations transform. It's called the Bullseye Framework. It is first out of Nigeria, first Agile framework out of Nigeria, right? And probably out of Africa as well. So I'm very excited about this. And I know I've been nudging them to do this. I'm happy that they've actually started it now. And the whole purpose of the session is to teach us how organizations and businesses can transition to agility using the Bullseye Framework. So you could be a large organization or a small organization, an SME or a business person. This is a nice session to attend so you can understand how you can start your journey on agility. It holds on October the 29th, which is Friday at 9 a.m. At the 10th floor, Ahmadu Bello Way, 142 Ahmadu Bello Way, VI in Lagos. It's going to be both a physical and interactive session, so you can also register for that as well at theagileadvisor.com. So finally, we have arrived at this point where we do our wrap up. And at this point, we're going to take our net breaking, what we call our net breaking selfie. So here you get to put on your cameras, we see your lovely and beautiful faces, and we'll just take a quick selfie together to commemorate our time on the session today. So please, we'd like to see everybody's face. Yeah, hi, Abby.
Hi, good evening, Carol. Good evening, Eliana. Good evening, everyone.
Good
Just
evening.
one little thing I want to add to that October 29 event is that it's both virtual and physical, which means that if you can't join us physically at the location, you can actually join us on Zoom. And so when you register, you would have the option to choose the one you want. So if it's going to be virtual, you will be receiving a Zoom link. Thank you.
All right, great. Thank you. Thanks, Abby. Thank you for mentioning that. I almost forgot to say that. Also, I have Emeka on the call. Emeka, are you there?
Yes, I am.
Hi, Emeka.
Thanks, Carol.
Yeah, hi.
I actually didn't want to say anything. I thought maybe you've forgotten.
No, it was good. I remembered. All right, so Emeka, please go ahead. You just want to share with us just a few minutes, a few seconds about disciplined agile. Go ahead, Emeka.
Okay, thanks, Carol. Once again, I really want to thank the Agile Advisor, thank the Agile Practitioners Association of Nigeria for actually working with us. My name is Emeka Onachukwu. I'm representing Project Management Institute, PMI. I work with the Global Head Office. Currently, I'm the Sales and Marketing Associate here for Nigeria, and we are sponsors and partners with the Agile Practitioners of Nigeria. So basically, I just wanted to I know we must have been coming across this particular product called the Discipline Agile. And I don't want to talk so much about it, but to let you know that I'm actually here representing PMI in promoting the adoption of Discipline Agile for organizations, basically, and also individuals, but basically on organizational levels. So there's more to it, and I'm always available to attend to us for any form of discussions, any form of questions or clarification about Discipline Agile. I will just drop a link on the chat room for any one of us that is interested to know what Discipline Agile actually is all about. For more details, I will share it on the link. So thank you so much, Carol, for the time. I know time is actually out of hand, so let me just drop this for now. Thank you for this opportunity, Carol.
Yeah. All right, thank you, Emeka.
All right.
Dude, I was actually looking for the links. It's good you mentioned it. Please drop it there so that people can also reach out to you after this.
All right, thank you.
Okay, so I was back to our selfie. So please let's quickly put on our cameras as we take very beautiful. I can't see your face again. Oh, yeah, I'm going to apply another batch of pancake. You know your face is very fine like that. All right, let's put on our cameras quickly while we take, so we can quickly take the selfie. Yeah. I can see all beautiful and handsome faces. Thank you so much. All right, so I will be taking the shots in a few seconds. So let's say safety. 1, 2, 3. Safety.
Safety.
Safety. All right, let me take another one, please, so that the internet will not forget. Thank you. All right. Thank you, everyone, for spending time with us today. We took quite a bit of your time. We apologize for all the technical difficulties at the beginning, but I'm sure we all got value for our time. Thank you also, especially to our speaker, Eliana. You know, she really broke down psychological safety for us in a very simple way, and something that we can take back to our teams, to our homes, and to all that we're doing. So till we come your way again next month, the 3rd, we do this the 3rd Thursday. the third Thursday of every month. So we'll be back again, and we'll be sharing our details with you on our Meetup channel. So stay tuned and stay connected to us. Thank you, everyone, and have a wonderful, wonderful evening.
Thank you.
All right. Thank you. Thanks, Emeka. Thanks, Tosi. Thank you, Kingsley. Mr. Philip Amulum, thank you. Thank you, Mubarak, Amos.
Thank you, everyone.
Galaxy A51. Thank you, Abby.
Thank you, Carol. Thank you, Eliana. Is Eliana still there? She was amazing.
Yeah. She should still be there. Eliana, you know.
You're welcome.
I was loving.
I learned a lot, and that Ben Linda stuff too is great.
Yes.
Yeah. Definitely something.
And you know the funny thing? The breakout room is here.
Are you serious?
You know when they say village people, it's actually village people.
What happened? You couldn't find the
It
breakout?
wasn't the one, yeah, it wasn't there. Because that's what we wanted, to have an interactive session so people could talk.
Oh, you thought it wasn't there? I don't understand.
So it wasn't showing, it wasn't there. We couldn't, I mean, I don't know, for some reason.
Anyway, there will be many more opportunities.
We just had to talk about, his experience. I mean, people would have been able to share when you have, smaller rooms.
Hey, Babs, I see you in your car. Good evening, Tosin. I've never met you before, but thanks for sharing.
Hello, how are you?
Fine.
I'm based in London.
Okay, you're welcome. Thanks for joining us.
Thank you. A fantastic session. Thanks. There actually was an interview question about psychological safety in one of my interviews.
Oh, really?
Interesting. You never know when these things pop up, so it's good to have the knowledge.
How did it go? How did you go? How did you fare with that?
I had to do research on it, and it was just more about the team trusting you and more feeling comfortable to discuss things and conflict and things like that. So it was good, but it was on a government job. So it was just one of the core things. How would you describe you creating psychological safety within a team? So,
yeah. More and more Scrum Masters are going to be required to in environment. Yeah, it's strongly advised, and it will be a very key requirement. And I won't be surprised if very soon